You won't believe what WWE tried to hide from you during Naomi's devastating match against Nia Jax. While millions watched what they thought was just another SmackDown bout, something far more sinister was happening behind the scenes, and the footage that leaked afterward has the entire wrestling world furious. This isn't just about a loss, wrestling fans. This is about how Wi's negligence turned what should have been Naomi's moment of triumph into a nightmare that no athlete should ever have to endure. The company that claims to champion women's wrestling just threw one of their most talented superstars under the bus, and the evidence is right here. What you're about to discover will make you question everything you thought you knew about WWE's treatment of their female talent. The shocking details of Naomi's wardrobe malfunction weren't just an accident, they were the result of systemic failures that have been plaguing WWE for years, and Naomi paid the ultimate price. But before we dive into this explosive expose that has WWE executives scrambling for damage control, make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is smashed, because this is the kind of hard-hitting wrestling journalism that mainstream media refuses to cover. Let's start with the cold, hard facts that WWE doesn't want you to know. Naomi entered that SmackDown match against Nia Jax carrying more than just the hopes of her fans. She was bearing the weight of months of backstage politics, questionable booking decisions, and what insiders are now calling deliberate sabotage of her career trajectory. Sources close to the situation reveal that Naomi's gear for this crucial match wasn't her usual custom-fitted attire. Instead, she was allegedly given a substitute outfit just hours before the show, with barely enough time for proper fitting or testing. Why would WWE make such a last-minute change? The answer will shock you to your core. According to multiple backstage witnesses, there was a miscommunication regarding Naomi's ring gear, but this wasn't just any ordinary mix-up. This was the culmination of weeks of tension between Naomi and certain members of WWE's creative team who allegedly felt she was becoming too demanding about her character development and screen time. The timing couldn't have been worse. This match against Nia Jax wasn't just any regular SmackDown encounter. It was positioned as a potential stepping stone toward championship contention. Naomi had been building momentum, connecting with audiences in ways that reminded longtime fans why she's considered one of the most naturally gifted athletes on the entire roster. But someone, somewhere in WWE's corporate hierarchy, apparently decided that Naomi needed to be humbled. The question is, did they go too far this time? When Naomi's music hit and she made her entrance that night, fans in attendance and watching at home had no idea they were about to witness one of the most controversial moments in recent WWE history. The energy was electric, the crowd was behind her, and everything seemed set for what could have been a career-defining victory. But from the moment the bell rang, something was off. Veteran wrestling observers noticed immediately that Naomi seemed distracted, constantly adjusting her gear in ways that were completely uncharacteristic for someone of her experience level. What the audience couldn't see, but what the hard camera captured in devastating detail, was the beginning of a wardrobe crisis that would soon spiral completely out of control. Nia Jax, to her credit, seemed to recognize what was happening early in the match. Multiple lip readers have confirmed that she attempted to communicate with Naomi about the situation, trying to help her fellow competitor navigate the increasingly precarious situation. But the damage was already being done, and there was only so much that could be accomplished within the confines of a live television match. The viral footage that surfaced later shows the exact moment when Naomi realized the full extent of her predicament. Wrestling experts who have analyzed the video frame by frame describe it as heartbreaking to watch a performer of Naomi's caliber forced to prioritize wardrobe management over athletic performance in the biggest match of her recent career. What makes this situation even more infuriating is how Wi's production team handled the crisis. Instead of cutting to commercial or finding creative camera angles to protect their performer, they continued filming, seemingly oblivious to, or worse, deliberately ignoring, Naomi's increasingly desperate situation. The footage that leaked online 3 days after the match tells a story that WWE desperately hoped would never see the light of day. Shot by a fan in the audience using a high-quality phone camera, the video captures angles and moments that Wi's official broadcast either missed or deliberately avoided showing. What you see in this viral clip isn't just a wardrobe malfunction, it's a masterclass in professionalism under the most humiliating circumstances imaginable. Naomi's ability to continue performing, to keep the match going, to protect both herself and her opponent while dealing with a crisis that would have broken lesser performers, is nothing short of miraculous. But the video also reveals something far more sinister: the complete absence of help from WWE's ringside personnel. Where were the officials who should have called for an immediate timeout? Where were the backstage personnel who should have rushed to assist? Where was the basic human decency that any performer deserves when facing such a vulnerable moment? Wrestling industry veterans who have reviewed the footage are calling it the most damning evidence of WWE's toxic workplace culture they've ever seen. Former WWE employees, speaking on condition of anonymity, describe a company culture where female performers are expected to handle their own problems, regardless of the personal or professional cost. The technical analysis of the gear itself raises even more disturbing questions. Multiple seamstresses and costume designers who specialize in athletic wear have examined the footage and concluded that the malfunction wasn't the result of normal wear and tear or even a manufacturing defect. The failure points suggest either incredibly poor quality materials or, more troublingly, deliberate sabotage. One of the most complex aspects of this entire controversy revolves around Nia Jax's role in the situation. While some fans have praised her for attempting to help Naomi during the match, others question whether she could have done more to protect her fellow performer. The reality is far more nuanced than either extreme position suggests. Analysis of the match footage shows Nia Jax repeatedly trying to position herself to shield Naomi from certain camera angles, attempting to create opportunities for quick adjustments, and even appearing to slow down her offensive moves to give Naomi more time to manage the situation. However, critics point out that Nia Jax was also in an impossible position herself. As a performer with her own career to consider, she couldn't completely abandon the match structure without risking her own standing with WWE management. The fact that she was put in the position of having to choose between helping a colleague and protecting her own career highlights the toxic environment that WWE has created for its female talent. Backstage sources reveal that Nia Jax approached WWE officials immediately after the match, demanding answers about how such a situation could have been allowed to occur. Her advocacy for Naomi in the days following the incident reportedly created tension with certain members of WWE's management team, who felt that both women should simply move on from the controversy. The relationship between Naomi and Nia Jax has reportedly grown stronger as a result of this shared experience, with both women recognizing how WWE's systemic failures put them in an unnecessarily difficult position. This solidarity between female performers is exactly what WWE's old-school management structure seems designed to prevent. What happened in the hours and days following Naomi's humiliating experience reveals everything you need to know about WWE's true priorities. Instead of immediately launching an investigation into how such a catastrophic failure occurred, WWE's initial response was to control the narrative and minimize potential damage to the company's reputation. Multiple sources confirm that Naomi was immediately summoned to a meeting with WWE executives, but instead of receiving an apology or assurance that steps would be taken to prevent similar incidents, she was reportedly presented with a non-disclosure agreement and pressure to characterize the entire situation as an unfortunate accident. The company's legal team allegedly spent more time crafting statements to minimize WWE's liability than they did investigating how one of their performers was left so vulnerable on live television. This response pattern is consistent with WWE's historical approach to controversies involving female talent, prioritizing corporate protection over performer welfare. Even more disturbing are reports that certain members of WWE's creative team actually viewed the controversy as a positive development, believing that it would generate sympathy heat for Naomi's character and increase audience investment in her storylines. This cold, calculating approach to a performer's genuine distress reveals the toxic mindset that continues to plague WWE's corporate culture. The pressure applied to other WWE performers to remain silent about the incident was reportedly intense. Several wrestlers who attempted to publicly support Naomi were allegedly warned about potential consequences for their own career trajectories if they continued drawing attention to the situation. Independent analysis of Naomi's gear malfunction by experts in athletic wear design has revealed findings that WWE definitely doesn't want public. The specific points of failure, the timing of the malfunction, and the quality of materials used all point to a situation that was either the result of gross negligence or something far more deliberate. Professional seamstresses who specialize in wrestling attire have noted that the type of failure experienced by Naomi's gear typically occurs only after months of wear and repeated stress, not during what should have been the first use of a freshly prepared outfit. The stress points that failed first are exactly the areas that would be most vulnerable to deliberate weakening. The materials used in the gear have also raised red flags among industry experts. While WWE typically uses high-quality, tested fabrics for their performers' ring attire, analysis of the failed components suggests the use of substandard materials that would never pass the company's usual quality control standards. Perhaps most damning is the timeline of events leading up to the match. Multiple sources confirm that Naomi's regular gear technician was mysteriously reassigned to other duties just days before the show, replaced by someone with significantly less experience in wrestling attire preparation. This last-minute personnel change eliminated the one person who knew exactly how Naomi's gear should fit and function. The backup gear that Naomi was forced to use had reportedly been sitting in WWE's wardrobe department for months, with no record of recent cleaning, inspection, or testing. Industry standards for athletic wear require regular maintenance and inspection cycles that were apparently completely ignored in this case. The wrestling industry's response to Naomi's ordeal has been swift and overwhelmingly supportive, with performers and executives from competing promotions expressing outrage at how WWE handled the situation. This level of cross-promotional solidarity is virtually unprecedented in the notoriously competitive wrestling business. All elite wrestling executives have reportedly reached out to Naomi's representatives, offering both moral support and potential opportunities should she decide to explore options outside of WWE. While AEW officials have been careful not to publicly criticize their competition, sources suggest they view WWE's handling of this situation as evidence of fundamental cultural problems within the company. Independent wrestling promotions across the country have begun implementing additional safety protocols for their female performers, using Naomi's experience as a cautionary tale about the importance of proper gear preparation and performer protection. These smaller companies are essentially embarrassing WWE by demonstrating higher standards of performer care. Former WWE performers who now work for other promotions have been surprisingly vocal in their criticism, with many sharing their own stories of inadequate support and protection during their time with the company. This flood of testimonials paints a picture of systemic problems that extend far beyond this single incident. The international wrestling community has also taken notice, with several prominent Japanese and European promotions publicly committing to enhanced performer protection protocols. The global wrestling industry is essentially using WWE's failure as an opportunity to demonstrate their own superior standards of athlete care. The fan response to Naomi's ordeal has been unlike anything seen in recent wrestling history, with social media campaigns demanding accountability from WWE reaching levels typically reserved for major political or social justice movements. The hashtags #Justice for Naomi and #WWE Accountability now have trended globally multiple times, generating millions of interactions. What makes this fan response particularly powerful is its diversity and sophistication. This isn't just angry wrestling fans venting frustration, it's a coordinated movement that includes sports journalists, women's rights advocates, workplace safety experts, and entertainment industry professionals all demanding answers from WWE. The viral video of Naomi's struggle has been viewed over 50 million times across various platforms, making it one of the most watched wrestling-related clips in social media history. But unlike typical viral wrestling content that focuses on spectacular moves or dramatic moments, this video has sparked serious conversations about performer safety and corporate responsibility. Fan-created analysis videos breaking down the technical aspects of the gear failure have garnered millions of views, with amateur investigators uncovering details that WWE's own internal investigation apparently missed. These crowdsourced examinations have proven more thorough and transparent than anything WWE has produced. The economic impact of the fan backlash is already being felt, with several WWE sponsors reportedly expressing concern about their association with the company during this controversy. When fans start connecting performer treatment to advertiser relationships, corporate executives tend to pay attention quickly. Legal experts specializing in workplace safety and employment law have identified numerous potential violations in WWE's handling of Naomi's situation, ranging from failure to provide adequate safety equipment to creating a hostile work environment through negligent supervision. The classification of WWE performers as independent contractors rather than employees has historically protected the company from many workplace safety regulations, but this incident may have created liability under general negligence standards that apply regardless of employment classification. Several law firms specializing in entertainment industry litigation have reportedly reached out to Naomi's representatives, suggesting that the evidence of WWE's negligence is strong enough to support significant legal action. The combination of documented safety failures and apparent retaliation attempts creates a compelling case for civil litigation. The potential for class action litigation involving other female WWE performers who have experienced similar treatment is particularly concerning for the company. If Naomi's case opens the door for other women to share their stories of inadequate protection and support, WWE could face a legal and public relations nightmare that makes this current controversy look minor. International legal experts have noted that WWE's global expansion could create additional liability under workplace safety laws in countries with stronger performer protection standards. The company's international business interests could be jeopardized if other nations view WWE as unable to maintain basic safety standards. Beyond the immediate humiliation and safety concerns, Naomi's wardrobe malfunction may have derailed what was shaping up to be the most promising period of her WWE career. Industry insiders had been reporting increased backstage support for pushing Naomi toward championship contention, momentum that has now been completely disrupted. The match against Nia Jax was reportedly intended as a showcase to demonstrate Naomi's readiness for main event storylines and potential title opportunities. Instead of displaying her athletic abilities and character development, the entire focus shifted to her desperate attempts to maintain dignity while dealing with defective equipment. Wrestling industry analysts note that recovering from this type of incident requires significant time and careful booking, resources that WWE has historically been reluctant to invest in performers who have experienced public controversies. The company's track record suggests they're more likely to quietly phase out problematic situations than invest in rehabilitation efforts. The timing of this setback is particularly cruel given Naomi's recent career resurgence and renewed connection with WWE audiences. After years of inconsistent booking and creative frustrations, she had finally found momentum that seemed sustainable and authentic, only to have it derailed by corporate negligence. The psychological impact on Naomi's confidence and performance cannot be understated. Professional athletes who experience traumatic incidents often struggle with trust and focus issues that can persist for months or even years, potentially affecting every aspect of their career trajectory. Naomi's ordeal has highlighted broader concerns about WWE's commitment to the women's wrestling evolution they've heavily promoted in recent years. Critics argue that while the company has invested in marketing and promotional campaigns around women's wrestling, the fundamental infrastructure and support systems remain inadequate. The contrast between WWE's public messaging about respecting and empowering female performers and their actual treatment of women like Naomi has not been lost on industry observers. This incident serves as a stark reminder that public relations campaigns don't automatically translate to improved working conditions. Other female WWE performers have reportedly expressed increased anxiety about their own gear and equipment following Naomi's experience, creating a climate of fear and distrust that undermines the confidence needed for peak athletic performance. The psychological impact extends far beyond just the immediate victim. The incident has also sparked broader conversations about the unique challenges faced by female performers in professional wrestling, from body image pressures to safety concerns that their male counterparts rarely have to consider. Naomi's experience has become a symbol for these systemic issues. International women's wrestling organizations have begun using Naomi's situation as an example of why alternative opportunities outside of WWE may be more appealing for serious female athletes, potentially impacting WWE's ability to recruit and retain top talent. WWE's attempts to control media coverage of Naomi's incident have been almost as controversial as the original event itself, with multiple journalists reporting pressure from WWE representatives to minimize or avoid coverage of the story entirely. Several wrestling media outlets have disclosed that they received direct contact from WWE legal representatives warning about potential consequences for irresponsible reporting about the incident, despite the fact that most coverage has been based on publicly available footage and witness testimonies. Mainstream sports media has largely ignored the story, leading to speculation about WWE's influence over traditional sports journalism through advertising relationships and access agreements. The disparity between social media attention and mainstream coverage has been particularly stark. Independent wrestling journalists who have pursued the story aggressively report experiencing unusual difficulty in securing sources and accessing information, suggesting a coordinated effort to suppress details about WWE's handling of the situation. The company's official response has been notably limited and carefully crafted, avoiding any admission of fault or specific commitments to prevent similar incidents in the future. This defensive posture has only intensified speculation about potential legal liability and corporate responsibility. Industry experts predict that Naomi's wardrobe malfunction incident will be remembered as a defining moment in WWE's treatment of female performers, potentially marking a turning point in how the company approaches performer safety and support. The incident has already begun affecting WWE's recruitment efforts, with several promising female athletes reportedly reconsidering their interest in WWE contracts after witnessing how the company handled Naomi's situation. Top-tier athletic talent has numerous entertainment options, and performer treatment is increasingly becoming a factor in decision-making. Corporate partners and sponsors are beginning to ask more detailed questions about WWE's workplace practices and performer protection protocols, creating additional pressure for systemic changes that go beyond simple policy statements. The international wrestling community has taken notice of this incident as evidence of cultural problems within WWE that may affect the company's global expansion plans and international business relationships. Long-term fan loyalty may also be impacted, particularly among female viewers who see Naomi's treatment as representative of broader attitudes toward women within the company. These demographic shifts could have significant financial implications over time. Naomi's ordeal has sparked industry-wide conversations about performer safety standards, corporate responsibility, and the need for comprehensive protection protocols that go beyond basic injury prevention to address dignity and professional respect. Other wrestling promotions are already implementing enhanced safety measures and performer support systems, using this incident as motivation to demonstrate superior standards of athlete care and professional treatment. The incident has accelerated discussions about performer unionization and collective bargaining rights within professional wrestling, with Naomi's experience serving as a powerful example of why individual performers need organized representation when dealing with corporate entities. Regulatory bodies and government agencies that oversee sports entertainment are beginning to examine whether current oversight is adequate to protect performers from preventable incidents like the one experienced by Naomi. The long-term cultural impact may be the most significant outcome, as this incident has forced uncomfortable conversations about gender, power, and responsibility within an industry that has historically resisted external scrutiny of its internal practices. Recent developments have uncovered evidence that makes WWE's position even more indefensible, including internal communications that suggest the company was aware of potential problems with performer gear quality control weeks before Naomi's incident occurred. Leaked documents reportedly show that multiple performers had filed complaints about substandard equipment and inadequate fitting procedures in the months leading up to Naomi's match, complaints that were apparently ignored or dismissed by management. Technical analysis of the gear failure has identified specific manufacturing defects that should have been caught by basic quality control procedures, suggesting that either these procedures weren't followed or they were inadequate to begin with. Witness testimonies from backstage personnel describe a chaotic and unprofessional environment where performer safety concerns were routinely subordinated to production schedules and cost-cutting measures. The accumulation of evidence paints a picture of systematic negligence that goes far beyond the single incident involving Naomi, suggesting that numerous performers may have been put at risk by WWE's inadequate safety protocols and corporate culture. The evidence is clear, the pattern is undeniable, and the implications are staggering. What happened to Naomi wasn't just an unfortunate accident, It was the predictable result of corporate policies and cultural attitudes that prioritize profits over performer welfare, production schedules over basic human dignity, and image management over accountability. WWE's handling of this incident has revealed fundamental problems with the company's approach to performer safety, gender equality, and corporate responsibility that cannot be addressed through simple policy changes or public relations campaigns. The entire corporate culture needs examination and reform. The broader wrestling industry is watching closely to see whether this incident will catalyze meaningful change or simply be another forgotten controversy in WWE's long history of problematic incidents. The answer will determine not just Naomi's future, but the future of performer rights and safety across the entire industry. For Naomi herself, this ordeal represents both a devastating setback and a potential catalyst for industry-wide change. Her courage in continuing to perform under impossible circumstances, and her dignity in handling the aftermath, have made her a symbol for every performer who has ever been failed by the systems that should protect them. The wrestling world is at a crossroads, and how we respond to what happened to Naomi will determine whether professional wrestling evolves into a more professional and respectful industry, or continues to perpetuate the toxic culture that made this incident inevitable. This is why your voice matters. This is why we need to keep talking about this story. This is why Naomi's experience cannot be allowed to fade into wrestling history as just another forgotten controversy. The future of performer safety and dignity depends on holding WWE accountable for their failures and demanding the systemic changes that will prevent similar incidents from happening to other performers. The evidence is overwhelming, the need for change is urgent, and the time for action is now. What happened to Naomi was unacceptable, and it's up to all of us to ensure that it never happens again. Subscribe, share this video, and join the conversation in the comments below. Tell us what you think about WWE's handling of this situation and what changes you want to see in how the wrestling industry treats its performers. Your voice matters, and together we can demand the accountability and reform that performers like Naomi deserve. The wrestling industry is watching, WWE is listening, and change is possible, but only if we refuse to let this story die. Keep fighting for what's right, keep demanding answers, and keep supporting the performers who risk everything to entertain us. They deserve nothing less than our complete commitment to their safety, dignity, and professional respect. This has been Wrestling News CC, bringing you the hard-hitting coverage that matters. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight, and never forget that in wrestling, as in life, accountability matters more than entertainment. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.